Hi, this is Morten Andersen, and this is Great Dane Nation. I'm back. A little jet lag, I'm not going to lie, guys. Of course, I got Tom Carroll, FreezePops, my producer, and a wonderful predictor, man. We had Brian Finneran, of course, Falcons legend, and also morning show host on 680 The Fan here in Atlanta. Brian, you helped us preview the 21 NFL season on episode 52 last summer. And your prediction, man, Rams to beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl, you were 50% right, but you had the winner. Very impressed, shall we?
Thank you.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
I did not.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I always go like, yes, thank you. Whenever Matthew Stafford is a game changer. We saw that all year long. When he can protect the football, which he had a little bit of a tough time yesterday, but and then you get a guy like that, a top defense, a top 5 defense, forget about it. I mean, McVay does a great job. So,
well, I don't know. He did have a couple of kind of
McVay
after OBJ's injury, wasn't it?
We'll get there.
Who was he supposed to go to? All right. Yeah.
All right, we'll get there.
Save it, guys.
All right. Relax.
So, I mean, biggest takeaway, I don't know what overall big picture. First of all, it was a pain in the ass to get to the stadium. I was there.
Oh yeah. What did you think about SoFi?
It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. $5 billion building, I think.
Yep.
So they had like a thing called the Hall of Fame Lounge, and it was like 6 gold jackets in there. We were rotating in and out of a big room with fans in a kind of a tailgate situation. We'd be up doing the round table, then we'd do some pictures, then we'd do back in the green room. They had a nice little setup for us there, and then so we were there like 3 hours before the game. But it was just impossible to be. The layers of security, guys, insane.
Did you ever think, Mort? I'm not going to turn this into me interviewing you, but I'm fascinated. When I got to go super fortunate to be able to be at your induction into the Hall of Fame. Do you pinch yourself every once in a while when you're sitting around those guys today and yesterday and anytime you get to go do it? Because it is the club of all clubs, and I'm just so proud to even have been there when you were inducted.
I'm sitting on stage, so I'm looking over to my left, and Emmitt Smith is standing there, and Marshall Faulk's on another side, and Andre Reed is there, and Steve Hutchinson, newly inducted from last year, is there. And Steve and I kind of tied one on Thursday night, really Friday morning till 4 a.m.
Goodness gracious.
Him and I and Sam Mills Jr. were in my room doing some beverages. And Sam had passed out. Steve was just kind of hanging in there by the strap of his chin.
Eyelids are like falling.
And he didn't tell me this, but he had to do a presentation at 8 a.m. in front of the new class of inductees.
Amazing.
So the first thing he said when he got up, he goes, because I think he might have still been a little inebriated, right?
Definitely.
He said, one piece of advice, guys, to the new class: you see Morten Andersen, run the other way. Don't drink with Morten until 4 a.m.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Everybody was laughing, so it was.
Morten, since you mentioned Sam Mills Jr. off the top here, we might as well just get into that right here.
Yeah, the new class.
Get into the game. Yeah, let's talk about that. Sam Mills finally breaks through.
Yeah,
we're very, very happy as a Saints community. They listen to our podcast.
Yeah,
and we talk about Sam Mills a lot. So happy to see him get in, and then your former coach Dick Vermeil getting in as well. So quick thoughts on
so
here.
Sam, of course, we lost him, to stomach cancer, and way too young, right? And the Field Mouse, that was his nickname, the Field Mouse. He was a force in middle linebacker. It really was. He allowed Pat, and Pat Swilling was there as well. So Pat, I think, should maybe be in the Hall of Fame as well. But Sam was just a beast. Again, run game, he could drop in coverage. He was fast. He always played with leverage, I thought. He hit hard. He was small, frame wise, but he brought it, man. You knew when Sam Mills was in the game because it was hard to run on us, the dome patrol. And Sam's widow was there, of course, and Sam's son, and they're very happy, I think, very grateful that it happened. Of course, a bittersweet, but great to have him in. And then Dick Vermeil, again, there's so many coaches. Look at Dan Reeves, right? Dan Reeves should be in.
No question.
But Dick Vermeil had been waiting, and I'm so happy he's in. I had him for 2 years in Kansas City. Did you run across Vermeil at all?
I did not. No, unfortunately not. The closest I came to was playing, getting to know Vince Papelli very well in the movie Invincible. So Vince and I were close friends, and he was tight with Dick, obviously, but I never had a chance to meet the man. Seemed awesome guy. Yeah,
he said, hard work is not a form of punishment. That was his famous line, one of his famous lines, because he worked himself, hard, and he worked his team. Usually when he would come into a new team, whether it was in Philadelphia, of course, Philly hadn't won for a long time, and then Kansas City, the Rams, same thing with the Rams. With the Rams, you basically had mutiny. You had players saying, it's too much.
Really?
And they basically kind of backdoored Vermeil and went to to management and just complained, and they figured it out. They were basically, we're not gonna practice this way anymore. So they figured it out. But to my earlier statement, hard work is not a form of punishment. It's so that was him, man. But very interesting guy, very emotional guy.
Yeah, super emotional.
Brian, what did you think of the class this year?
You know what? It was interesting. We have to have an opinion on it for our radio show that we do here in Atlanta. So it almost felt, because you had so many up-and-comers that were very worthy of getting inducted, whether it was their first or second or third time. And it felt like it was the old-timers' day to get put in. It's like, you've waited long enough. It's your turn.
You were clearing a backlog.
That's what it felt like a little bit. And not diminishing their careers or the athleticism or the player or whatever. It just felt like it was, let's get these guys through so we can focus on the next group sooner than later. Because you're going to have a group pretty soon, whether that's Peyton or Eli or whatever. They're just going to walk in.
Well, Peyton's in.
Right. Whoever else. The guys that are coming up sooner than later, just like walking in, first timers. So I don't know. That's what it felt like from a distance. There's a handful of guys like Zach Thomas is probably very worthy of being in there, but he's got to wait another year to see if he can do it next time. So a bunch of receivers were on the list as well that I thought were worthy of getting in. Yeah. So it's interesting. Again, like I said, to start this thing and jack up the whole podcast and show sheet, it was for Morten to be there with those guys, to be the best at your position in the world, and then to be in a community, in an environment, in a club with those guys is just, I don't care how you get there or how long it takes you. It's as special as it gets.
Yeah, it is. And what everybody has in common when they find out. And I thought what they did very interesting this year was it used to be David Baker knocking on the door. This year they used other Hall of Famers that had a connection with the inductee that would go and knock on the door. So you would have Kurt Warner go out Pennsylvania and meet up with Dick Vermeil, who's out on a tractor and had no clue, right? Yeah. So the wives or girlfriends, they were in on it, right? Usually, but the inductee himself didn't have a clue. So that was Leroy Butler.
Charles Woodson go do him, I think.
Right.
Right.
And then and then you had Charles Haley doing
Brian Young.
Brian Young, and threw him in the pool.
Threw him in the
pool.
I would have been.
Come on.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
He threw him in the pool.
Oh my God.
That was the best.
Oh, it was great.
So I thought that was a really nice touch by the Hall to make it different and unique that way. So I think that's a good path forward.
Yeah.
I had suggested like a family member doing it. That would be another good one.
Is that a conversation you guys have about how you might want to change it up a little bit?
Yeah, we get asked all the time.
Okay.
About ideas we might have, or how can we do it better, or how can we help you guys have a better experience and honor the game and all that stuff. So that was one of the things I thought. Not that David Baker wasn't great and imposing and it was powerful, but I really like this year's presentation. I thought it was great.
So, Morten, we know your biggest takeaway so far from the Super Bowl was it was a pain in the ass to get into SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
So we'll get to your next.
I'll do better. Point. I can do better than that.
Let's give you a second to think of a better takeaway. Let's give Brian the floor here. You give us your biggest takeaway from Super Bowl 56 last night, and then Morten will come up with something better.
All right. So biggest takeaway. I mean, people talk about receivers. You don't need a big time receiver to really be that special or to make a Super Bowl. You don't need to pay these guys whatever you got to pay them. Julio Jones on the Falcons for a while or whoever it is. By the way, Julio pretty much won the Super Bowl for you until Shanahan decided not to run the football. So that's a bygone. Oh no.
2nd and 1.
Oh my God,
and
making me sickening, dude.
2nd and 1, up by
that
25.
was quite possibly the greatest season, start to finish, of any football player ever in the history of the NFL. If you think about what Cooper Kupp did, now you're talking about Offensive Player of the Year, the receiving hat trick, which is, what do they call it?
The Triple Crown.
Yards.
Triple Crown. Thank you. Yards, touchdowns, catches, all of them. And then to go in the postseason and to continue to do it. Like, the other teams don't scout what you're doing. Like, we have to stop that guy, and you still can't do it. So quite possibly Cooper Kupp having the greatest season of all time from start to finish.
Yeah, and his presence made Odell better too, I felt, because Odell Beckham Jr. didn't have to be the number one receiver. I think he took some pressure off of him to, I said it before, kind of just run his route tree and do whatever he needs to do over there,
Yeah, and he was going to have a huge game. That news just came out this morning, by the way, that he did, in fact, which I knew when he did it, having torn 2 ACLs. He did, in fact, tear his ACL, and be very interested. Was he going to be a free agent, if I'm not mistaken? I have to go look it up, but he's going to.
One thing the Rams did was they went all in, man.
Oh, forget about it. Von Miller.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted to win now, and it paid off, paid dividends for them. All right, my greatest takeaway. I got it.
Here we go. You got it this time.
One of the best halftime shows ever. Really good.
Were you in the building for it? Did you stay for the game?
No,
or did you catch a red eye? Yeah.
No, I didn't stay. I was at a hotel in a lobby.
The stadium looked lit, though. Like,
it was good. Dr. Dre kind of coordinating the whole thing. The maestro, thought that was really, really good. And then in the game, Aaron Donald once again asserting himself at the end of the game when you had to have 2 plays from him. He comes up with the 2 plays. I mean, and Brian, of course, Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Special. But Aaron Donald, I think
Cooper Kupp, obviously the last touchdown got him the MVP. The 4th down run where the Rams couldn't run the ball to save their lives.
Oh, yeah.
They decided to give it to a receiver on a jet sweep, for God's sakes, and give it to your best football player and let him get a 4th and 1 on your own 30-yard line with 5 minutes left. But Aaron Donald, it's good for people to see a guy that's 6'1", 280 pounds. You don't have to be 6'6", 350 or 6'6", 315 pounds.
Right.
Work hard, be great at your craft, lift, be explosive, and then just dominate guys in front of you. What he did to number 77 late in that game, I felt bad for the right guard. It was
ugly.
Iconic.
I kind of felt like Aaron Donald's energy changed on the play out of bounds play. You know what I'm talking about?
When he pushed Burrow,
where everybody kind of corralled and started a little fight.
Yeah, he shoved Joe Burrow out of bounds like any football player should. We just can't do it.
It was a legal play.
It was totally legal. Everybody's in bounds, shoves him as hard as he can, and throws his ass out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
The Cincinnati players didn't like how it looked, but it was a legal play. And then they want to have a problem with Aaron Donald and make him angry. What they should have done is pat him on the back and said, "Nice play. Please don't do that again." Yeah.
And if you watch that replay, he was on the other sideline almost and ran perfect angle across the field and knocked that dude on his ass before the 1st down marker. And the dude is a perfect football player.
And then you want to make him angry?
No wrong.
Right. And then you want to punch him and push him and shove him and say things to him?
Not smart.
I mean, that's where you're exactly right, Mort. That's kind of where his whole MO changed. And he was tired of not finishing that game.
Yeah, he was probably motivated. And I also want to give props to the front 7 defensive line, of course. I thought it was good on both sides of the ball.
Both sides.
Bengals, man, pretty good on that front 7.
I don't know. I don't even know his first name, and it's my bad. Wilson, number 55, their middle linebacker. That dude is a menace.
Beast, yeah.
Absolute beast. I was very surprised with what Cincinnati did to the Rams run game, which was make it non-existent.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
They did.
You guys are actually teeing up our next section perfectly here. The good, the bad, the ugly from Super Bowl 56. And I have it right there for the good. The front sevens for both teams showed up in a big way. The Bengals' defensive front was awesome all postseason long. That defense was able to really turn around the narrative surrounding its unit based on that pass rush and that ability to stop the run all postseason long. I mean, look what they did to Derrick Henry. We're not talking about the Titans having a deep playoff run right now, right? And that guy was unstoppable for the first 10 games of the season because that Cincinnati defensive line stepped up. And then look what they did in the Super Bowl here to, I think the 3 running backs had a combined something like 30 yards rushing on 18 attempps. That's staggeringly good defensive line play by the Bengals and really bad running by LA running backs. So obviously you got Cincinnati doing their thing. And then LA, I mean, what more can be said about Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Leonard there on the end? Just absolutely dominated.
Ramsey got burnt a couple of times.
He certainly did.
Well, he did not.
They missed. We'll get into this in a minute. Part of the ugly or bad, whatever it might be, when they missed the face mask penalty. But it happens for defensive backs. I mean, you're going to take chances. He bit on that one little throw, or Burrow threw a perfect high and outside pass and gave him a little run down the sideline. The safety was over the top, so he didn't go very far. The 75-yard touchdown was a kind of a fluke because he got his face mask grab. But he did have some plays where they went after him a little bit. Joe Burrow is not afraid. Neither is Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or any of those dudes that can just flat out play. It was a much better game than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So you touched on it a little bit, Brian, there. The bad. Generally speaking, the officiating was pretty good. It didn't feel like the flags really mattered too much throughout the game, other than that really bad missed OPI where, I mean, the receiver, Higgins, just pulled him down by the face mask. Ramsey was on him. He literally just grabbed him by the face mask while he was still chasing him down, and he just let the momentum throw him to the ground there. I mean, you as a receiver probably love that little, that whenever receivers get away with stuff like that, I feel like all the other receivers are like, nice, you got away with it a little bit.
Tom, show me again. How did you run? How did you? Okay. High arms, just pumping arms.
Exactly, you got it. You see, it's all about pumping the arms.
Flailing and not moving arms very fast without going anywhere.
Arms moving much faster than the legs. Always.
So I do enjoy sometimes when receivers get away with little bumps and pushes and everything like that, but this was egregious. And the referee in that position sometimes just misses it based off of where he's at. And unfortunately, he couldn't see or didn't notice. It wasn't like a grab and a throw. It was like a pull and a let go. It was quick enough where the ref couldn't see it, I guess. But you hate for a 75-yard touchdown to take place on a play where it never should have happened, because that's a penalty.
Right. And so, other than that, officiating was pretty good most of the game. And then it seemed like the last 90 seconds, we had 6 flags. And it got a little bit out of control there on that Rams final drive. I know, the history books will say it was a 15-play, however many minute drive that the Rams did to win the Super Bowl. But in the short-term recency, we can let the record show that the officials had something to do with it there down in the red zone at the end. And that's kind of a bummer. And I don't think they were all bad calls necessarily.
I think there was one that
little ticky-tack.
Yeah, the one ticky-tack that they could have let go was on Wilson, number 55, grabbing or touching or had his hands kind of look like they were wrapped around but not really wrapped around Cooper Kupp. But when you're around a guy like that and it's hard, beat of the moment. By the way, somewhat payback for that one they missed earlier. And then the offsetting penalties towards the end, which I didn't really have a problem with. There's a hold on the offense and then an illegal hit to the head on the defense.
He got crushed.
I mean, Cooper Kupp, looked like head was going to hurt for a while. And then he landed on his shoulder the next play on the pass interference when the guy grabbed his jersey. And then a play later or two, he scores a touchdown. He was a beast. But yeah, that one ticky-tack was the one penalty you could have a real issue with. But besides that, I thought they did a decent job.
It just seems to me that when they try to they try to play Cooper tight. He just has leverage. They don't play him with leverage, and he gets open so fast. He gets into his route so fast, and he's so tall.
Yep.
It's that initial at the line of scrimmage as a receiver.
He's so
They
smart.
can't defend him.
He's so smart because he knows that leverage you're talking about. He sees zone. He knows it's quarters coverage or cover two, and the linebacker is supposed to be a certain spot. I don't know if you heard him describe the throw, the no-look throw. Have you seen this one yet?
Crazy.
So Cooper Kupp is running a dig route, and he's trying to get the linebacker to bite just a little bit outside to the little hookup. So he's looking at the guy running a little hitch and throwing across his body. Patrick Mahomes-esque, but it's like a 15-yard dig between like three dudes. It was insane. Go back and watch that. But Cooper Kupp talked about it, and he said, I saw him looking at the stands, like the girl in the second row. He was looking at her throwing me a football, and I knew it was coming because as soon as I turned around, I could just feel it. That zone was opening up. I was going to get in there, and he felt it as well. So it was an awesome deal. Yeah.
How does a guy like Kupp develop that type of chemistry with Stafford without having, 5-6 years of working together? Like, how does that happen so quickly where it just clicks immediately? They're so good together.
Yeah, so good. I have a couple theories. One may not be that popular, but the other one, they just spent 1 million minutes together. You think about practice, and you think about meeting rooms, and you think about game film and everything else. But I think those guys, Sean McVay, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford, probably spent a few weekends barbecuing together in the offseason when they first realized they were going to be together. They probably did some other things like that. They probably spent more time with each other than anybody else in that building. That's my take. I just think those guys saw a bond, saw a connection, and did it. And then I'll say this, being a tall white wide receiver, and I'm not making kind of jokes of this or anything. When you have a guy that looks like you and plays like you, there's a connection there. I was super tight with Chris Chandler. I was telling Mort before we started, my very first touchdown was a very similar deal where you just kind of make it up in the dirt, draw it up in the dirt, like Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce late in the game against the Bills, I think it was. He's like, Travis, just do it. And he makes up his own route and runs an in route as opposed to the bender he was supposed to run. So Chris looks at me and he comes out from under center. It's cover zero. Everybody's blitzing. I'm one-on-one on the left side of the formation. He gets up and he looks at me and he gives me the little finger. We had never officially talked about this signal, but I was like, I think he wants me to run a hitch. I'm hitched. I'm married. I'm hitched. This is all happening in like 3 seconds, right? So I run an 8-yard hitch. The corner is off and inside about 10 yards. He takes a terrible angle. Chris throws the ball high and outside. I catch it, turn up the field, 47-yard touchdown later. It's my first score of my career because I had that relationship with Chris Chandler. He was my roommate at training camp at Furman University. Our kids were kind of the same age. We just did stuff together all the time. Yep. And I was in my second year, in my first year with him. So it was just, I think those are the things that really do it. When you have a lot in common, when you have similarities, whatever it might be.
Mutual respect.
All those things.
Based on like trust,
Yeah.
Yeah. A trust that you're going to take care of each other. Yeah.
Speaking of trust, Morten, one more thing for bad. Johnny Hekker, the missed hold there on the
cost
PAT.
Me a lot of money.
Same, Brian. I had Rams -4. Come on. I had 24-20 as the final score.
Oh, no.
I was
You were on it.
I was a millisecond away from winning a lot of money. But Morten, so what happened there? Like this guy he's one of the best punters in the league. He's a great holder. Give me your analysis as a kicker who has seen that, snap, hold, kick 50 million times in your career.
The ball looked like a glazed donut. I think in the Super Bowl, they rotate balls in every play. There's a new ball every play. Have you heard that, Brian?
I did hear Pat McAfee talk about the kickoff ball. This hasn't been touched because you kickers like to scrub those things and equipment managers.
Yeah, when it comes from the Wilson factory, there's this white resin on it. Like it's almost like a powder substance, and usually you got to get that off.
Right.
Because the ball is slick.
Yep. Like plasticky. He kind of says like kind of plasticky, yeah.
So it just looked to me like Hekker just dropped the ball.
Yep.
It's slippery.
Guy I know.
You
kicked 1 million field goals. How many times that happened to you?
It's happened a couple of times.
Right.
But
the
in
odds
25 years.
Minuscule. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I had the Rams, 13.5 points in the first half. Over 13.5 points. Okay. Can we talk about that one?
That's tough, man.
Fudgesicle. Unbelievable, man.
Rough.
That is why this industry exists. That's because of these, half point misses, 1 point. I mean, if the Rams won 24-20 last night, I had Rams double result, so win and cover. Wow. I had Rams.
You had the under
perfect
too.
Score. I had the under, which hit, thankfully. But if he just puts that thing down like he's done his entire career, he's one of the best punters. I mean, you could make like a Hall of Fame punting case. If they started adding punters to the Hall of Fame, Johnny Hekker is in that conversation. He just, the one time he decides to drop it in his career. There you go.
There you go.
I put that in the bad because
kickers,
it lost me money.
Unbelievable kickers. Unbelievable.
Punters.
Okay, sorry. Punters.
So
he's a defensive player. He's a defensive player. He's not putting points up.
That's right. But he's pinning people down typically. So the ugly section here, the Rams won the game, but Sean McVay, the fact that there was 18 rushing attempts by running backs after 10, you should be able, after 12, when you're doing nothing, you're getting no push, and you have Cooper freaking Kupp.
You bail on the running game.
Bail, man. I mean, it's almost like the Rams got lucky that they got put in a position to where they had to just rely on Cooper Kupp at the end of the game. Because it seemed like McVay was committed to running ball. And I know OBJ went out, so they had to find something.
Higbee's already gone. OBJ tore his ACL. Higbee's got an MCL, so he's out. Their third best receiving tight end, the best receiving tight end. Now you're down to a guy, Cooper Kupp, who the Bengals should have done a vice covered punt return vice on him and not let him touch the football the rest of the game, because those other yahoos weren't doing jack. Van Jefferson,
he had a bad game.
Let that ball get intercepted in the end zone.
He just had a kid, but he had a bad game.
Did he leave at some point, or did he stick around and just left
at
right
the
after
very
the game?
end? He ran out because his kid was born like an hour and a half after the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The kid was born at 9 something, and he.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. It was crazy.
That's wild.
Maybe that's why he played poorly, honestly.
Bryson Hopkins. Who the hell is that? You want your Super Bowl to rely on that guy? So you had to run the football because everybody else was dead or broken or hurt or something. So, or going to watch a baby be born. So and by the way, all postseason, they stuck to the run regardless of who they were playing. And they ran the ball 29, 30, 39 times in the games that they played leading up to the Super Bowl. So I expected it. What I did not expect is Cincinnati's defense to shut down their run the way they did.
Fair. You've talked me into it, Brian, okay?
Okay.
You win. No, but I mean, OBJ was playing well, too. I feel really bad for him. I know he gets the ring, so I guess you can't feel too bad, but it's a bummer he couldn't have been on the field the whole game.
Totally agree.
I think it changes the whole dynamic. I mean, the Rams offense was humming. What were they, up 14-3 or 14-0? I mean,
14-3, yeah. And then in the second half, when they're trying to figure everything out, I think there was a field goal, and after the field goal, 7 straight punts recorded by both teams, like 5 3-and-outs, a 5-and-out, and something else. 7 straight punts. It was a defensive game, and then with everybody being banged up and hurt, it hurt them.
So let's talk a little legacy here, because it's a Super Bowl, right? That it invites the legacy conversation. I know some people roll their eyes at that stuff, but hey, it's a Super Bowl reaction show. Matthew Stafford, first year in LA. Are we talking about a Hall of Fame career now for Matthew Stafford, finally getting that ring?
No.
Morten, what do you think?
Not yet. I don't think so. There's too much bad in Detroit. He was good in Detroit, but I don't see it yet.
All right.
If he wins one more, yes.
I'll get the bleep out of here with that bullshit, dude. You can't do that. You can't just base a guy's Hall of Fame qualities off of Super Bowls because he's a quarterback. I think the guy's done everything he had to do ever. If that guy, the only reason he didn't make Pro Bowls because his team was bad, and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Russell Wilson are in the same division as or conference as him, in my opinion. because he's just as good as those guys for the most part.
Yeah, he's got 50,000 passing yards.
Oh, the numbers are ridiculous. Now,
I can give the resume quick. 34 years old. He's 34 years old. His career record's under 500, so that's a point in Morten's category. 12 seasons in Detroit.
Freaking Detroit.
One time in passing yards. He's 5 yards short of 50. One-time Pro Bowler, another point in Morten's category. 2011 Comeback Player of the Year. He missed most of his second season with a shoulder injury. And he's a member of the Detroit Lions all-time team. So put as much stock in that as you'd like. So that's the resume at this point, 13 years in.
Does that sound like a Hall of Famer to you, Brian?
It's very close. And maybe you're onto something saying not yet, because he's got 3 or 4 good more years left in him, in my opinion. I think we could turn this right back to like a Matt Ryan conversation. Even though Matt Ryan doesn't have a Super Bowl, he should have it. If Kyle Shanahan runs the football and kicks the field goal.
You think Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer? I
think Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer.
He's close.
He may not walk in, not first ballot, but he will be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, based off of numbers and stats and yardage and longevity and durability and everything he brings to the table. Same with Matthew Stafford. I think we'll be in the same boat in a few years as well.
It's kind of like a Marino, because Marino didn't win one, but he
had
a ton of stats.
So you just got to ask yourself, are these guys two of the best to ever play the position? And then go back and look at the stats, go back and watch film. I think you got two of the most stand-up individuals, so that's not a problem when you talk about Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford. Sure. I just have a hard time watching. So let's say Matthew Stafford, he's in this game and he drives 15 plays down the field, back shoulder fade to Cooper Kupp for the lead, 23-20. Up, here comes Cincinnati. They drive down, no time left, field goal, tie it up. They go to overtime. They win the snap. They score a touchdown in overtime. Matthew Stafford never touches the ball again. Okay? And he doesn't have a Super Bowl under notch in his belt. Because why? Because his defense couldn't get a stop twice in a row and he lost a coin flip. So now we're going to say he's not in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't have a Super Bowl. That's where I have a tough time doing that.
Yeah, I know. I got you. I got your point on that. I just want to see a little bit more.
Yep,
consistency for like another 3-4 years.
Perfect.
Exactly. I think if he has,
even if he doesn't win another one, maybe he gets deep in the playoffs. He's playing consistent. You know, the rap on him was, man, he throws the ball. You know,
too many turnovers. If he's going to be in the top 10 in every statistical category by the time his career is over, then
yeah, I got you.
2 more good years with Cooper Kupp, I think, will take care of a lot of this ambiguity here. I mean, that guy is just a freak. Speaking of freaks, Aaron Donald. There was conversation pregame about this dude who is at the height of his career, retiring if they won the game. He told that to Rodney Harrison throughout the week when he was hanging out with him doing some stuff for NBC. They win the game, and he arguably was the MVP of the game. I mean, I know Kupp was great, but Donald was a freak. What do you guys think of this? I mean, this guy could possibly be the best defensive player, period, of all time. I know he's up there with Reggie White and all these guys that get thrown around, Dick Butkus, but Donald's resume through 8 years is right there.
Ray Lewis,
another one. Ed Reed. There's like 10 guys that always get thrown in there. Ronnie Lott, another one. Aaron Donald's right there.
I don't think he retires. I agree. He's one of the best ever. But I think get a little blood in the water, man. You smell that. You say, man, greed is good.
Opportunity for more of these. Good.
Right.
No question.
To build on that legacy.
Yeah. I mean,
Morten matters.
Morten walked away at a young age. So that's so hard. Isn't it hard to walk away from
48 years old? I was getting burial insurance in my mail. AARP cards.
No doubt.
That's when I knew it was time to hang it up.
Yeah, listen, you did not know when it was time to hang it up, by the way, and neither did I. And that's my point. My point is,
you're right.
I love playing the game so much. I tore my knee up in 2006 and in 2007, came back and played 3 more years by the grace of God. And then Thomas Dimitroff and Mike Smith pull me in their office. They're like, hey, Finn, we're going to try to get younger, and we're not going to beat around the bush. You were awesome. We really enjoyed your time here, but we're going to try to get younger and faster. And I was like, all right, guys, I'm a little disappointed. I think I got 1 more year left in me, but I understand what you're trying to do. We just can't give it up. I worked out all year. I had a workout in San Francisco And the doctor in San Francisco is looking at my right knee that I've had 5 surgeries on. He's like, it's a little bit grindy in there, Brian. I was like, oh, don't worry about that, doc. This is not the knee that you're looking for. As a Jedi mind tricked him to try to get me on the squad.
I love it. I spent 20 months in a public park in George Pierce Park trying to stay ready.
That's my
point. And the phone wasn't ringing.
Aaron Donald, I remember him being super hurt, but you have to be so happy and content with where your career is. Yeah. In my opinion, the competitive juices and being on the football field, I just loved it so much. I didn't want to walk away until they told me it was time to go. And it's probably good that they did.
Yeah.
So Aaron Donald's resume to this point, and to back you up quickly, Brian, he's only missed 2 games in his entire career. Neither one of those misses was injury related. So super durable. 1 Super Bowl, 2 NFC championships, 3 Defensive Player of the Year, 2010 All-Decade Team, 7-time First-Team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 2014 Rookie of the Year. That's all in 8 seasons already.
Shit. That is amazing. That's a Hall of Fame career in a nutshell.
That is a Hall of Fame career.
That's a 16-year Hall of Fame career is what that is.
Yep.
That's amazing. If he does want to shut it down, he's done everything he needs to do as a football player after you just rattle that stuff off, dude. That's crazy.
It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
He's got little kids. You may want to spend more time with them. I saw him on the podium after the game last night. Beautiful family. Yeah. He was very emotional after the win, to the point where you're like, he loved that. That's what he was looking for. And maybe he got what he needed to finally go, maybe I've had enough.
I will say, though, on the desk post game with ESPN and NFL Network, and he was always with Von Miller, man. And I have to imagine, like what you said, Morten, he's looking at that guy who's definitely got a few years left. And thinking, we could be special here. If Cooper Kupp stays healthy, Stafford can still throw. We got these 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball. Like, we're talking
figured out a way to run the ball a little bit.
Get OBJ back in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, they're set up for success if they can keep it together. They like you guys said, they put all the chips in the center of the table. Les Snead, Sean McVay, Kroenke, whoever else was involved in those decision making, and getting those guys in there and mortgaging the future. They don't have a first round pick till 2025 or some crap.
That's crazy.
So, and guess what they do have? They got the Lombardi Trophy sitting in their building forever.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you mentioned Sean McVay. Let's talk about his legacy quickly here. Youngest head coach to ever win the Super Bowl. And I've seen mixed reaction on McVay coming out of last night. Obviously, we talked about the running game stuff. But he's had this itch behind the scenes to maybe call it a career at a young age here and head into TV. Now, I know he dispelled some of that post game, but that type of stuff isn't out there at this type of level if there isn't whispers about it, at least among TV executives who love to chat, right? So what do we think about Sean McVay at this point? If he were to hang it up, does it feel like, it's time for a guy? I mean, he's been a head coach 5-6 him to TV already at this point.
I don't think he retires. I think he keeps going. He's young. I don't know how, if he works like Vermeil, you're going to burn out quick. I mean, Vermeil was sleeping in the building 5 days a week. I don't know if McVay he doesn't strike me as a guy. Strikes me as a guy who's disciplined, works a lot, but I think he's efficient with his time, maybe, management. I'm not saying Vermeil wasn't, but sometimes overkill, right?
Oh, yeah.
More is not necessarily better all the time.
That's right.
So I think he continues coaching.
You think about in the TV angles, it was a good one because it's a lot less work. He doesn't have kids yet. He's just about to get married to some smoke show that he probably wants to spend more time with as well. And she's probably busting his ass about getting home and being home more. So all that stuff is probably playing a factor. Does he give it 4 more years, get to double digits, see if he can't win one more, and then shut it down, then go into TV with his good-looking face and everything else? So he's brilliant. He's like a savant when it comes to memorizing plays that have happened 10 years ago. So it's interesting. I'd be very surprised if he retires and then before he's 40.
Yeah, I agree. I think he keeps going and he wants to see how much success. And here's another reason why. I mean, the Rams just mortgaged their future. Like to your point, Brian, why would he leave?
Right.
When they've set him up for success now. It doesn't equate with me.
Totally agree. Totally agree. I think he sticks around.
I think that was a great point I made there.
There you go.
One of the
check
few.
that one in the box.
One of the few.
So what about Joe Burrow here, guys? 25 years old. He came in with more hype than anyone else heading into the Super Bowl, and that's just the type of guy he is off the field, right? He plays well to that internet young audience, the TikTok culture. 25 years old, gets to the Super Bowl, and they don't come out on top. I mean, a lot of people are disappointed to see this guy, the new face of the league, kind of get thrown to the dirt by Aaron Donald, right? And this big market team out in LA gets the ring, and Cincinnati doesn't. What do you make of Joe Burrow's run here? And are the Bengals going to be in the mix here the next few years in the AFC?
Well, that's exactly what it was. He was running for his life. I mean, 7 sacks. And he had 9 sacks against Tennessee, I think.
He did.
He's going to get banged up. I mean, I know he's tough, but you got to fix that right guard, right tackle. You got to fix that offensive line, man. It's very similar to the Chiefs' offensive line when they played Tampa Bay, and Mahomes scrambled for 600 yards in the Super Bowl. I don't know what the scramble numbers are on Burrow. I would be very interesting in finding out.
Yeah,
it was a lot. It was a lot.
It was like up and out as opposed to run around in circles like Mahomes.
Right.
As soon as he saw something, he came up and got out, or up and got to the right or left.
But it didn't end with a vertical pass. That's how I'm saying. It was usually, throwing it away or getting sacked.
Nope. The touchdown pass to Higgins he got out of the pocket to his right and threw it across his body all the way back over to the left. So he did it a couple times, but that was it. But you can't make a living like that. I thought he ripped his knee in half. My dogs are gonna bark in a second. Hold on.
It looked bad.
The dog is a Joe Burrow fan, obviously.
So Joe Burrow, I thought his knee exploded when he got bent backwards, number one. And by the way, he refused medical treatment and just went back in the game. He was like, I'm not coming out of the Super Bowl, people. Let's do this, which is tough as nails, as I like to see. But I hope he's okay, because we may see something in the next couple of days where he has an MCL or something like that. You can't survive, like Mort's talking about, with an offensive line like that. But you got a young stud running back in Joe Mixon. You got a receiver core that any team would die for. You got a young quarterback that has the moxie and the swagger and everything you want in a football player. And you just need to fix that offensive line. I thought your first 4 picks in the draft this year, for God's sakes, make them O-linemen and find the best ones you can find.
Yeah.
That team. And by the way, they'll be good because Pittsburgh just lost Big Ben. Who's their quarterback going to be? Kind of feels like the old team's getting older. Baltimore, I'm not sure if Lamar Jackson is going to continue to improve, which is hard for an MVP a few years ago. And then the Cleveland Browns, it feels like as long as Baker Mayfield's there, they're not going to win anything anyway. So it's just, I think the AFC North is for them for the future.
Yeah, I agree. Baltimore also decimated by injuries.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
That's why they, didn't go.
They
deep.
feel like they've plateaued a little bit as a core. Little devil's advocate, though, gotta see both sides here. So Joe Burrow, again, 25 years old. We're all saying, they'll be back. He's back. There's get back, right? Not necessarily the case. I went back and I looked at some previous Super Bowls here since 1980. Here are some of the names of guys that got to their first Super Bowl and never got back as a starter. Dan Marino, second season, 1984. Jim McMahon, fourth season, 1985. Boomer Esiason, 1988, fourth season. Drew Bledsoe, 1996, fourth season. Steve McNair, 1999, fifth season. Donovan McNabb, 2004, fifth season. Colin Kaepernick, 2012, second season. Cam Newton, 2015, fifth season. Matt Ryan, 2016, ninth season. I threw him in there for you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
So, look, we're all saying they'll
memory.
be back. They'll be back. They'll be back.
What about
do they get back?
Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees?
And I got them on the list here too. So 3 guys that won a Super Bowl and never got back.
Right.
Rodgers, Brees, Steve Young, 1994.
Wow.
He didn't get back. And Russell Wilson, he went back the following year in his third year after he won his, hasn't even sniffed a Super Bowl since.
Morten knows how tough it is. I mean, you played how many years? How many Super Bowls did you play in?
One. My 17th year. This is what makes the Buffalo Bills feat so impressive, to go to 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, they lost them, but they were in the freaking game. wrap your head around 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. It's never going to be done again. I don't care. It's not going to be done. I talked to Andre Reed about it. We talked about it in the tailgate. He talked about it. It was painful, but my point was simply, it is so hard, even if you're the best loser at the end of the show, which Buffalo was 4 times in a row.
That's crazy.
It is an incredible feat.
It's so hard to get back there. You're exactly right, and that's why it hurts so bad when you lose that game. In my opinion, because you really,
I mean, how shitty we felt, right?
Awful.
But imagine like multiplying that by 4 in a myriad of different ways. It wasn't like they lost the same way every time.
Same coach every time, right?
Huh?
Same core.
Same core,
bro. Same guys. Same Marv Levy.
Oh, devastation.
Just don't know how you. But so impressive. That just, to me, you rattling off that list of guys that have not been able to do it. Pretty good list.
I mean, he's right in that, realm right now, right? You think Joe Burrow, there's probably guys on that list you'd say, oh yeah, Burrow is a guy I like better than, a Drew Bledsoe or Donovan McNabb but you think about the conversation around those guys when they were making the Super Bowl early in their career. You're like, oh, well, McNair will be back. Look at the core they have in Tennessee. It never happened. The Eagles, they finally broke through. They had all those NFC championship losses. Oh, they finally got, don't worry. They got T.O. They have a great – it just doesn't work out like that. In the history of the NFL, it's rare that you get back to a Super Bowl after you lose. It's rare.
It's very rare, and there's a reason. It's salary cap. It's the parity in the league. It's injuries at the quarterback position, namely. It's everything. It's so hard. The ball has to bounce your way. You can't have a freaking holder drop a snap on an extra point and cost me kind of money he cost me. That can't happen.
That's right. Those are the type of things that lose you a Super Bowl most of the time. So it's interesting to look at the legacy stuff, and we'll continue to track it here as football fans. But let's look ahead. Let's break out the clairvoyant, fortune teller hats here and take a look at the 2022 season, because that's always fun, right? We're 365 days away from Super Bowl 57, but let's talk about it. We got some odds. I threw that on the sheet there for you guys.
Okay.
We'll start with Morten here.
My Saints
jumps out at
4,000.
So there you go. You're picking the Saints.
We have no
for
quarterback.
Super Bowl 57.
We need a quarterback.
No coach.
We have a coach.
I got Dennis Allen. Yeah.
Dennis Allen.
We got a coach. We
I
have
like
good
Dennis,
defense. He's good. We got a good defense. And hopefully with Kamara, I don't know what's going to happen there, but hopefully, we figured that out and we can run the ball if we need to. And our screen game is really good. We need a quarterback.
So who the hell do you think is going to win it? Because it sure as hell ain't the Saints, my friend.
So you're throwing money down on the Saints here, Morten, at plus 4,000?
I need $100 to win. 100 to win 4 now? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
just
could put it on black. Yeah, because you're putting the Falcons. You're going to lose one putting the Falcons on there.
Where the Falcons sitting here?
Plus 5,000.
Plus 5,000. Okay, there we go.
Right in front of the Panthers that are also plus 5,000.
Why don't we do this? Who's going to finish better, Saints or the Falcons?
Ooh.
I'm going to go Falcons only because Matt Ryan, I know who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
True.
I kind of had to.
I
have to agree, although they got some holes they got to fix, right?
Oh, we have no receivers. We have one receiver under contract and another one that's MIA that nobody's talked to in Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's insane as well. Tough as well. I don't want to use the wrong terms because what he claimed, what he says.
I think that's a little too late when you said smoke train.
I know, right? My bad.
We might have to edit that one out.
It's all right. Leave it in. It was a
smoke show.
Smoke show. That's what I said.
Smoke show.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's 100% correct, by the way. So the best odds next year: Bills, Chiefs, Rams, Bengals. Outside of those guys, Is it finally time for the Cowboys to get over the hump?
I put some money on the Cowboys last night.
What about the Chargers? I like the Chargers. That's my dark horse.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. They're right there as well.
Come on, man. Young quarterback, stud. I like the Chargers.
They just feel cursed to me. Like, are they ever going to figure it out? We're talking about like 20 years of them being like, oh, I think the Chargers are going to really jump out finally. Yeah. Phillip Rivers with that whole core and LaDainian and Antonio Gates, it never happened. And then, Phillip Rivers like finishing 9-7 or 8-8 or 7-9 every year, throwing for it. Just I don't know. Like, what is it ever going to work?
They go deep.
They're supposed to be good this year.
I'm going to go bold prediction, and then you guys can see what you guys think. My absolute boldest prediction.
Wow.
Listen, I love that the coach is doing up there. I think the guys want to play for him. His name's escaped me. He's Dan
Campbell.
Dan Campbell. I played. He was a tight end with the Giants in 2001 when I was.
We're gonna try and get him on the pod this offseason.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I love his mentality. I love his mindset. He's a guy that I could see myself playing for. They were in a bunch of games. They just got to figure out how to win, and that's
I think that they take that next step.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're not going to be 11-5, 11-6. They're going to be 8-8, 9-7, whatever.
They'll be the 7th seed.
They'll be the 7th seed.
All right.
You're not buying what I'm selling. You're not buying.
Plus 15,000 to win the Super Bowl, by the way. I know you're not that, but just in case.
Right. I'll put $100 on it.
I hate to say it because of.
So what's your bold prediction, Brian?
49ers get over the hump and really make it a deep, deep postseason run, which they did actually a couple years ago. New quarterback looks like it'll be in play, most likely Trey Lance, unless something crazy happens and they get somebody else. And then maybe the Colts, if they can find the right quarterback. That team is loaded on defense, and the running back is special. The offensive line is good, really, really, really good. If they can find the right quarterback and add a skill player, that's a team that can go deep as well.
Yeah, Colts had a weird start to the season. They had like 8 really hard games in a row. They played the NFC West this past year too. So it was like all those games were stacked together while they were still figuring things out with Carson Wentz. And then they finally clicked. So if they can do that for a full season, I kind of like that play, Brian. Morten, I'm surprised you're not you were Mr. Bill all season long, and they were a coin flip away, many people say, from winning that game against the Chiefs and maybe beating the Bengals.
No, I was just going long shots. I like the Bills again. I want that overtime rule changed. I think they will change it. Where if you win the coin toss, you go down and score a touchdown, the other team at least gets one shot at it to match it. I like that.
Keep going
then it's a field goal or a safety that wins it.
I don't know. I don't seem to have a problem with it. We have a problem with it when it comes back to bite one team that you feel like should have been there. Falcons had to deal with it in their freaking Super Bowl, for God's sakes. I didn't hear anybody bitching about it then. God almighty.
What's that behind you, Tom? What do you got?
Hey, I don't need to see that.
That helmet I keep pointing to, that's a Patriots helmet right there.
Oh, my God. How dare you?
Look, I like what you brought up about the Cowboys, Brian. With those odds at plus 1,200, they are so talented on defense. And if Dak can come into the season healthy and remain healthy, if they can figure out a way to manage Zeke, Tony Pollard seems like he's going to be maybe the feature guy next season if they're doing it right, even though he's making way less than Zeke. Who cares? They got Amari Cooper. They got the CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. I mean, that's kind of a loaded team. I know Mike McCarthy is what it is, right, for head coach, but you got enough talent at some point. I mean, at those odds, it's worth throwing down some cash.
Yeah, I think so too.
But there's only one football. And a road to.
Good point.
Keep them happy. Keep them happy. You know how the receivers are so fickle.
Hey, watch out, man.
They, I want the ball, man. I'm open. I'm always open. I talked to Aikman about this. He goes, I'm open. He might be draped by 2 double teams. I'm open. I was open. Were you open? Yeah, I was open. Okay. Yeah, you weren't. Now, Eli Manning actually on our pod last week talked about that a lot. Like, I've never met a receiver who wouldn't say he was wide open.
24/7, baby.
It's so funny. Brian, were you that way?
It's true. I can tell by your
no.
facial expression. You know exactly. I'm hitting you right where it hurts.
I know exactly. I know, but it wasn't me. I just lived it and saw it. The guys around me. Guys could get pretty upset.
Actually. You were open.
I was open every once in a while. I was tall enough. They could just throw it up. I said, just throw it up. I'm open. I promise you. If that 50-50 ball we're talking about becomes 90-10 real quick.
It's all right.
But I was not like that. No, I just like being on the football field every chance I got.
Oh yeah. And special teams. I liked you on special teams because you were hungry, man.
No
you
doubt.
knew that would be like the differentiator. You know, you knew that hey, if I'm balling on special teams, it just extends my career.
And I had one of the two Philadelphia there, and I didn't do well. I was still learning, and I got cut. Brian Dawkins tried to help me learn when I was playing there for the 5 weeks I was there in training.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's solid. And then when I got to Atlanta, Joe DeCamillis was the guy who showed me the ropes and pushed me harder than anybody pushed me, and I learned how to play special teams.
He's the Rams special teams coach.
Yeah. Yep. LA Rams special teams coach. I texted him last night. He got back with me at like 12:08 a.m. my time, which I didn't expect anything back, but I was just happy to hear from him and Les Snead last night. Was awesome because I've been around both those guys for a lot of my career here in Atlanta.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Coach. Great coach.
Awesome coach.
Yeah.
So that was a fun game. You know, it was sort of a weird Super Bowl in that the middle part kind of was a little, punt back and forth. But
Seven
at the
punts.
end of the day, it ended up being a really fun game and a post Super Bowl to here. So
tell me about it.
There's Winter Olympics and curling to look forward to. Come on.
That's right. We get a week more of that, and then I'm supposed to get into hockey. Right. Supposed to get into the NBA. I want football.
Then you got spring's coming, and then you have Aussie rules football starts up. The Masters.
Come on.
USFL is coming back, right?
Baseball, get off their ass and get off this lockout. We can get this going. But you're right, especially working in sports talk radio here, 680 The Fan in Atlanta. This is the time you got to start making shit up. You're like, all right, what stories can we come up with? Because that football season was awesome. Now we got to make stuff up.
Start to dive into the Hawks.
They are looking awful, by the way. I can't figure them out. They don't want to play defense. It's insane.
So, Brian, quickly before we let you go here, I want to get two things from you. I want you to give your letter grade for the Falcons in 2021, and I want you to think about Kirby Smart's over there.
All right, my Falcons. What is Falcons start with? Give him that because they had some. What Arthur Smith, the new head coach, and Terry Fontenot tried to do this year was somewhat impressive. To win 7 games with that roster, which may be the worst in the NFL, I'm not joking, talent-wise, was a decent job. Cordero Patterson gets an A+. What they did with him and the way he plays a game of football, I wish everybody played that way.
Special.
Yeah, special. But in all honesty, a C-. They're D+ boy. I passed. No, so it's just it wasn't good. It wasn't. They drugged me in early. They lost some. They won a few. They looked like they could get it going, and they got their heads beat in again. And so it was kind of a funky year. And I think they're picking 8th in the upcoming draft. So C- we'll give them on the season. And then the Georgia Bulldogs, unbelievable run. It's one of those deals where after they lost to Alabama again in the SEC title game, you just didn't know if they had the willpower or the mental capacity to pull this thing off. Kudos to Kirby Smart. Big time ups to Stetson Bennett for doing something I said he couldn't do, which is beat Alabama on that football team. But the defense played unbelievable, a historical defense on Georgia this last year. And then Stetson Bennett did enough offensively, made the throws he needed. Kirby Smart trusted him, believed in him, even after they got beat by Alabama in the SEC title game. So such a fun run between our Atlanta Braves in the World Series and the Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship. They covered up and gotten rid of the talk about you talk. I got about that we as a city and as a sports fan base needed those two things to happen more than anything. And I think a lot of cities across the country.
Yeah, no, I agree. And They beat Bama. There was one other team that beat Bama. It was Texas A&M, and it was a kid out of Lanier High School, Zach Calzado, who lives right down the street from me. And I'm so happy for him when he was able to beat Bama. But Georgia was the only other team to get it done.
Yeah.
More 2021 NFL season.
Not a fan of red eye. The red eye is bad.
You've done a job today.
So I think I'm going to change my strategy next year. Most of the guys are like, we're not flying back till Tuesday. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. But I had to get home to talk to you guys.
No, you persevered, man. You persevered.
So two things happened. Dog-ass tired. You drink till 4 a.m. with Steve Hutchinson.
I'm hydrating now. I'm good. I'm back. I'm
I show up 10 minutes later podcast.
You're good. Yeah, no, you're good. We're good.
We're crushing it here.
Yeah, fantastic football season. I mean, great games. Maybe the most entertaining games I've ever witnessed. The Kansas City Buffalo game in overtime in the playoffs, best game I've ever witnessed personally. I mean, so entertaining. And when you have two guys that can sling the ball and mobile, can run the ball and are so versatile, and then you have speed in space. Oh man, that's why, I mean, John Madden wanted to literally change the rules of the game to don't touch the quarterback, because the quarterback is so valuable that if you lose him, the product is gone, which means television ratings go down because the games are not as good. That's the reason, in my opinion, that those rules have changed as it pertains to protecting the quarterback. But I would say we had some great guests on, and we'll continue. So we got like Orlando Pace coming up, Aeneas Williams, Steven Jackson, more Hall of Famers. We're just going to keep pumping Hall of Famers for it.
I love your podcast. Both you guys do a fantastic job. And I can't thank you enough for having me on again. I'm glad we did the start and end to this season, a season where, by the way, you've pretty much seen 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks finish their careers just about, at least with the teams they were on. Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, obviously the greatest to ever do it. And now Aaron Rodgers probably, I don't know what he's going to do, but he may not be in Green Bay anymore.
I hope he goes to the Saints. That'd be great.
That'd be awful. I'd hate to see that.
People aren't talking about that.
Please do not let that happen, for the love.
That would be so great if he went down there. And
how do you do something like that? How do you do this whole thing when
we need a quarterback?
Okay. So I guess your blood runs gold and black as opposed to red and black. Yeah.
No, you have a quarterback.
What gave that away? You have a quarterback.
I know what I have.
You got Matt Ryan.
It's the greatest thing in the world. When you see Drew
what you
Brees,
have hanging right there is a C-, if I heard you correctly.
Drew Brees and Sean Payton out in 2 years. Oh man, is that the greatest thing ever? If we can't take advantage of this, we are an awful, awful franchise.
I was on the flight last night with Cam Jordan, and
you talk about a monster.
He's going to be back with his defense, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we need help on offense. We definitely do. But entertaining year, man. No, I got lots of love for the Falcons. I spent twice as much time in New Orleans.
I know.
But I had my biggest sports moment with the Falcons for sure.
Let's not forget that.
I'm not forgetting that.
He lives in Atlanta, for God's sake.
Yeah, he's going to live in New Orleans. Who the frick's going to do that?
Hey, before we let you guys go,
no offense, Saints fans, I apologize.
No, you don't.
Before we let you guys go, I wanted to tell all our great listeners in Colorado about the Sports Illustrated Sportsbook. Check out SI Sportsbook right now for a great deal. Get up to $300 in free bets. Make a bet of $10 or more and receive a free $10 bet up to 30 times. New players only, 21 plus to win and to play. Located in Colorado, promo code ROAD300. A qualifying bet is $10 or more. Minimum odds of -150. Free bet tokens credited after bet is settled and expire after 7 days. Free bet stakes not included in the winnings. And for more information, head to sisportsbook.com. Got to pay off the sponsors, guys.
Got to, brother.
Got to do it.
No doubt. It sounded like Bitcoin and gambling was at the commercials at the Super Bowl made us all lean towards.
Good commercials. There were some good commercials.
It was all right.
Those were some fun ones.
All right.
Hey, man, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, appreciate you, Brian. Freeze,
my
as
pleasure.
always.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you next time on Great Day Nation.